Whenever I talk to students, which I do frequently when I visit campuses, usually I'm saying something encouraging, something about self-esteem. Things like, you are what you are and where you are because of what is going into your mind. You can change what you are and change where you are simply by changing what goes into your mind. How you doing? I'm doing pretty good. Yourself? How's your day going? Good, good. What's the grades looking like? A's and B's? All right, there you go. Keep it going. If it is to be, it's up to me. You can't blame other people. You got to own it. You got to own it yourself. In environments where kids aren't performing the way they should, a lot of times it's about the belief system, the expectations, the standards. The background that I came from, if you look at my zip code, I shouldn't be where I am today. And when I came up, it was my mother and my father. They divorced when I was a young child. And my dad was a rolling stone, was running the streets, in and out of trouble, actually in and out of the penitentiary also. And so he left my mother with 6 children, me and my 5 sisters. And when I was about 7 or 8, my mother did remarry and we had 4 more kids. So I have 4 siblings, 4 more brothers. So it's 10 of us total. So I know what it's like to be on welfare, to get for Christmas only that you would get from benevolent neighbors, churches, Salvation Army, Red Cross. So I know what it's like not to have. But it's because of educators and coaches, the positivity that they instilled in me and my mom, that's really why I am where I am today. You know, my motivation, honestly, all my life has been to make my mother proud. I know that she was hurt by the way she was treated by my father. And she lived a very tough life, but she was a praying woman. She never gave up. She instilled in us high character, morals, values, ethics, and most importantly, to have a high self-esteem. And because of what she put in me, that's why I'm where I am today. And I learned early on that the great equalizer for people that come up from the kind of environment that I came from is education. It is a great equalizer. It's a way that you can have a different life if you choose to be serious about your education. So that is what really has motivated me to choose the kind of assignments that I've been involved with. So I've always worked with students in populations that people consider at risk, high minority, high poverty, the have-nots. You know, I've been a principal. I took over a school as a principal that was not doing well, last in the district in test scores. To make a long story short, we became a mentor school for the state in Texas and became the #1 performing school academically in that school district. So I know it can be done. And it's my background in education, special education specifically. I chose to work with special education students, and the type of special education students that I worked with were kids that people called, or labeled rather, emotionally disturbed. So there was nothing wrong with their intellect, but they were very challenging, had a lot of energy. A lot of folks couldn't really deal with their behavior. Well, I knew that I had a gift to do that. And so that's what I chose to do. You have to find a way to incorporate self-esteem in a systematic way. So it's critical that you identify your core principles, your standards, and most importantly, your expectations. And you can never compromise your principles, your standards, or your expectations. I don't care how things are. You can't lower your standards, you can't lower your principles, you can't lower your expectations. Now with self-esteem, the reason that's so important is because each and every one of us, all of our lives, will experience failure, disappointment, defeat, frustration, and setbacks. That's a part of life. You can't escape that. But the difference between the winner and the loser is the way you respond or react to that failure, disappointment, defeat, frustration, and setback. That's the difference. The person with a high self-esteem, they see failure as an event, not a person. A detour, not a dead-end street. A teacher, not an undertaker. And they see it as temporary, not final. So they will bounce back from those negative experiences. But if the self-esteem is not right, it's going to be difficult to bounce back from failure, disappointment, defeat, frustration, and setback. The other thing that makes self-esteem so important is that nobody, none of us can consistently perform in a manner which is inconsistent with the way you see yourself. The way you see yourself determines your thinking today. Your thinking today determines your performance today, and guess what? Your performance today will determine your future. So the way you see yourself is so important. And it all starts with a thought. You sow a thought, you reap a word. You sow a word, you reap an action. You sow an action, you reap a habit. You sow a habit, you reap a character. You sow a character, you reap a destiny. All starts with the way you think and the way you see yourself. So that's so important.
We're called a depressed community, but to the people who live here, we don't feel depressed. So we have a superintendent who also shares that feeling with us. Our children excel academically, and we have a music and sports history that lives with us. And so I think Mr. Culver, even with him not being from East St. Louis, have made us his adoptive city. And he shares the love for the city, for the school district, for the students, and all of the things that are happening with the violence that we experienced, that we didn't experience years ago. Mr. Culver is working to make that change. Security is very important to him. He wants our children to feel safe. He wants the parents to feel like their child or children are safe. So I think as the times have changed, we've made changes within the school district. And we try to live up to our community. As it changes, we also make a change. And hopefully we're moving in a direction where we don't go backwards. So I think Mr. Culver has done a good job of keeping us on track.
Meet with students that are doing extremely well, A's and B's, honor rolls, that kind of thing. Kids that are just there doing average. And then I like to meet with kids that are challenging for our educators, kids that have behavior problems, students that have attendance problems, because you can walk around and walk in classrooms and think things are going great, but when you talk to students, they let you know what's really happening. They tell you the real deal, so you know where you need to make adjustments and make modifications in order to better meet the needs of students. They've helped me with things like how we need to change the dress code, things that we need to implement in the curriculum that's not there. They let you know about, honestly, different staff members, how they feel like they're being treated. So it's just meeting with those students, and we do it quarterly and more often if necessary, but at a minimum we do it twice a semester, 4 times a year. But that gives me so much feedback as to let us know how we're doing, because we are here to serve. That's the only reason we're here. We're here to serve, to meet their needs so that they can become the people that they want to be later on in life. When you talk to students, they let you know what's going on because they know what your core principles are. They know that you say you're about treating everybody with courtesy, dignity, respect, and professionalism. So if that's not occurring, they're going to let you know who's not treating them that way. So it's just, you got to get out there and talk to people, not just teachers, not just administrators, but you got to talk to the students and the parents. I do want to thank our Board of Education. I've been very fortunate here to work with a Board of Trustees, a Board of Education that's aligned, the State Superintendent, for her support. The Illinois State Board of Education and their staff have been very instrumental and supportive of our successes here. My team, my administrative team have been very supportive. Our teachers union, our teachers. I can't do it by myself, and I'm just so fortunate to have a great team that have the same vision, and we are single focused. There is one vision and one goal in one school district, and we all are working in concert. So I appreciate that, and that's a blessing.
I do want you to know from the bottom of our hearts that we appreciate you. We appreciate your tireless effort. We appreciate the experience in education that you brought to East St. Louis, your leadership. We appreciate your kindness and your understanding. So, Mr. Culver, you are the best. You deserve this Lifetime Achievement Award.
Last but certainly not least, I want to thank my wife, Annetta Culver. She understands my mission and my purpose and supports it 100%. She's been willing to move from one community to another as I've gone about the business of educating kids. You know, without her support and support of my children too, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. They understand that I love them, but they also understand that I'm on a mission. And they support that mission, and without their support, it would be a lot more difficult to do the things that I do, especially the moving around. And you sacrifice your personal time, your family time, in order to be a great educator, and they've understood that, and they understand that it's about the business of educating kids. It's about the vision, the mission, the purpose, and I'm thankful for their support.